First, I just want to clarify that the amendment that is on the table is an unfriendly amendment. It is not an amendment that was agreed upon with the chairs, with both chairs. And so we are hearing comments on the amendment, and then we will do a roll call on the amendment. I firmly am against the amendment on the table for a couple of reasons. One, and I think some of my colleagues pointed out, process-wise, to offer to strip entire sections, the day of it being voted, are a little concerning to me. I think, our committee has engaged in conversations on what we felt would be incorporated into the substitute language up until yesterday. And to offer an amendment today, I think is unfair to all members that were not able to properly engage on that topic. So that on process. But specifically, I just want to speak to some of what was brought to me by districts specifically for this piece and why I believe, and this is my view. I'm not saying that other members in the committee necessarily agree, but why I believe that this significantly does impact our ability to provide proper supports to students with special needs. Unilateral placements do not require that the school is a special education school, that the school has to provide special education services. And so right now, I live in the town of Windsor. I have a private school in my town of Windsor, Loomis Chafee. If I would like, if my child had an IEP, I could place my child at Loomis, pay the tuition, and request that the district, my district, pay Loomis Chafee's tuition, reimburse me for the tuition at Loomis Chafee, even though Loomis Chafee is not offering special education services, which is why in those cases districts are asking parents to sign NDAs to waive IDEA rights. This was told to me both by parents and by districts, right? So obviously, to me, that's very concerning that we have special education dollars and taxpayer dollars going to fund private tuition that is not special education services. That was a big concern to me, especially given that we've seen the rising costs and we're hearing from parents that there are parents that need the services that are not getting services, but then we're hearing equally that there are some parents that are getting private school tuition reimbursed that is not special education. There are school districts in the state of Connecticut that have a line item in their budget for unilateral placements. This exists. And when we've asked SDE about this specific thing, I know the only answer I've gotten so far is Connecticut is a litigious state. That parents have utilized special education advocates to be able to get these placements. And the placements do not have to be special education. They don't have to provide special education programming. As a teacher for students with special needs, that is a big concern to me. That you're taking a child with an IEP, putting them in a school that does not have to provide special education services, having the parent waive IDEA rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution for that child with special needs in order to get private school tuition paid out of taxpayer dollars. So policy-wise, again, the shifting of the burden does not stop that from happening. I just want to say. It just says that a parent has to be able to say why that placement is appropriate for that child first. That the district should not have to argue that their placement is valid or not when the parent is choosing to place first. So many of the states, I know many of the states that do have the burden on districts like ourselves have the burden for unilateral on parents for this very reason, because the parent is choosing to go around the process. And I do also want to acknowledge, I think all members here have an interest in making sure that we provide policy that is good for special education students. And I want to recognize that. I think just we're not sure what the proper, avenue for that may be. And again, this is a process, and I respect the process, and I respect the debate that we're able to have on this process. Senator Austin, I know, was speaking to especially something that's a big concern of mine that we weren't actually able to address this session, is that so much of our population that is in our juvenile justice system, majority, I think two of our districts that are providing education for students that are currently incarcerated. One of those districts is 85% students with special needs, and the other one is 93% students with special needs. That to me is a big issue. But this specific piece, it doesn't address that in particular. And I think what this does do is it limits the ability to, or it makes it a little tougher to do a unilateral placement so that we can guarantee that it is special education related, so that it is not being used for what it is being used for now, as per many districts across the state. For those that know where I represent, this particular issue does not impact my own district. So I don't have a personal vested interest as per my district, but I know that this is an issue that impacts a large part of our state, which is why I strongly believe that we should address shifting the burden for unilateral placements. And so to strip the section completely, I think is unfair. I think that if we want to continue to engage in the process of seeing how that could potentially impact, and if I were to get information, which I have not as of yet, if I were to receive information that this were to impact an ability of students that actually needed services that were not able to get it because of this shift, then that would not be something that I would support.